What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Sci-Fi new series, Day of the Dead. Hey, before you watch my review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this. First up, I would like to say thank you to Syfy for granting me the screeners to this entire new show. They've asked me to not spill spoilers, therefore this review is spoiler free. I repeat, there are no spoilers in this video review. Do you know what this show kinda reminds me of? As I was watching these 10 episodes, I was racking my brain, where have I seen this before? And then it finally hit me. Even though this is loosely inspired by George A. Romero's classic masterpiece, but the way that this Day of the Dead version is done actually looks and feels more like Z Nation. I'm not sure if that's subconscious or intentional, and I doubt that some of the creative talents worked on both projects, but yeah, just from the style alone, Day of the Dead looks like it could have been a long-lost cousin of Z Nation, which by the way, also aired on the same channel, Sci-Fi. The difference is, Z Nation knew that it was a campy comedy, whereas Day of the Dead leans more towards drama to accompany horror, but because it takes itself way too seriously, some of its narratives are drawn out and laughable. Even the ways in which it tries to tackle politics and polarization and income inequality and LGBTQ, the approach is so simpleton and unsophisticated. Make no mistake, I'm not saying that Day of the Dead is all around terrible. I very much find it enjoyable, but whatever depth and profundity that it thinks it tries to convey, it only reaches one level below soap opera. Scripted by Jet Elenoff and showrun by Scott Thomas and executive produced by Drew Brown, Day of the Dead is the intense story of 6 strangers trying to survive the first 24 hours of an undead invasion. This ode to George A. Romero's famous Flesh Eaters classic reminds us that sometimes all it takes to bring people together is a horde of hungry zombies trying to rip them apart. Starring Keenan Tracy, Daniel Doheny, Natalie Malaika, Christy Dinsmore, and Morgan Holmstrom. Day of the Dead starts off promising when the outbreak first hits, and then the next few episodes after that, it kinda plateaus, even as the characters are learning how the zombies work. But then later on, the momentum picks up again, with the most unbelievably cheesy yet fire-powered fight back by the humans. As far as its comparison to the original Day of the Dead, it's been a long while since the last time I watched the 1985 film, but I guess one similarity is that this new version also has a Dr. Frankenstein type scientist trying to play God with the zombies. But everything else is contemporized to fit with our times, which is why it tries too hard to tackle those issues I mentioned earlier. If you're wondering about the scares, Day of the Dead has its moments, I give you that. Unfortunately, they're not consistent and they're not relentless, but when they do happen, they strike at you with a vengeance. These walkers may be slow as molasses, but they have a nasty habit of popping up from the corner of your eye when you least expect them. Kudos to the prosthetics and practical effects team, who marvelously made the blood and the gut and the insides and the mangled limbs look so gross and stomach churning. Not all of the characters are likable. Some of them are just not interesting. And some of them are over the top. They become like caricatures. But the ones left standing at the end are definitely not the ones I was betting on at the beginning. Overall, I think you, my fellow zombie fans, can find this show fun, as long as you don't view it in terms of how this would do George A. Romero justice, because this new Day of the Dead is its own beast, and one that could have been less chatty and more action-packed.